welcome to Perspectives, where we take a deep dive into the issues of the day and where we take a look at people's opinion on such issues. I am Ruth Osime. Welcome back to Perspectives, your Arise News. Today, we are examining two recent developments that have sparked national conversations around power, decorum, and political decision-making. The first took place during the 10th coronation anniversary of the Ooni of Ife, where Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu publicly interrupted Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke while he was speaking. Though the occasion was ceremonial, the incident has since raised questions about protocol, influence, and public conduct in Nigeria's political and cultural spaces. The second involves Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara's defection from PDP to the ruling APC. The move has been interpreted in different ways, by some as political strategy, by others as reflective of the pressures and shifting power dynamics within Nigeria's political system. It has also reignited debates around party loyalty and governance stability. Together, these moments underscore how politics today is shaped not only by authority, but by perception, restraint, and context, inviting broader reflection on how influence is exercised and what it reveals about Nigeria's democratic culture. We're heading for a short break, but stay with us because coming up shortly is the conversation proper with our distinguished guests, Peter Aka, Dominic Alancha, and Napoleon Otachi. Perspectives return in just a moment. Welcome back to Perspectives, your Arise News. Now I'm being joined here on Perspectives by Peter Aka, a social critic and human rights advocate, followed by Dr. Dominic Alancha, Chairman, Northern Ethnic Nationalities Forum, and last but certainly not the least, Napoleon Otachi, who is Zone C legal advisor for All Progressive Congress in Benue State, constituency of Benue State. I'm super delighted to have all of you here together with me on Perspectives this morning. So let's start with you, Peter. Now, as I told you from the very top, that drama that played out in Ile-Ife, before I get to you, Peter, that drama that played out in Ile-Ife, Oyo State, which was primarily engineered by Senator Remi Tinubu, the wife of Nigeria's president, has been a major issue of public discourse in the course of this week. Let's take a minute to take a look and be right back.
Ìdí tí mo fi yin bàbá èmi nìkan ló yẹ ìwọ lọ́lọ́run mi ìwọ ẹlẹ́dàá mi ọba àwọn ọba olúwa olúwa ọba títí láyé kò lè yí padà bẹ́ẹ̀ni kò ní bẹ́ẹ̀ kò gbọ́dọ̀ kó wà. máa jẹ́ ní 5 minutes orí tó báyìí. Títí ayé ṣètò má ṣe protocol. Títí má ṣe protocol. Ó yẹ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ṣe ó ti mà. Ok. Ẹ máa ní mo jẹ́ mo mọ̀. Ó yẹ bẹ̀rẹ̀. Ìyàwó olóyè náà lábẹ́ àṣẹ ọlọ́pìn àdìmọ́là wọ́n yà àwòrán báyìí fún ìrántí pàtàkì ọjọ́ àyájọ́ òní.
Okay, that was actually in Osun State, not Oyo State, point of correction. Yeah. And we're still expecting Mr. Napoleon Otachi, but let's start with you first. Now, you saw what happened, and it has ignited so much reaction. Yeah. Do you understand? And but do you think the criticism that the First Lady has received so far was proportionate?
Thank you very much for having me, and compliments of the season to you and Perspectives. I think at the end of the Tinubu administration, every Nigerian deserves to be given a certificate of survival and endurance, because we are going through a lot, and my thoughts and prayers are with all of Nigerians. Electing President Tinubu as president was like going for a November Black Friday purchase with a condition that you buy one, you get 3 free. So you get the father as president who is dishing out incompetent leadership, insecurity is ravaging the country, battered economy, money, corruption is in high heavens. Then you have the office of the first son, moving with security that, according to Professor Wole Soyinka, should be able to quell tensions in a country like Benin Republic. Then you have the office of the first daughter, who can travel to a state like Benin to prevail on the monarch, to decide who she wants to be installed as Babaloja or Yaloja. And then you have the office of the wife of the president, where we can budget 1.5 billion to purchase of SUVs in the office of the president. So across board, it is a tale of recklessness, and it is what public office has become. The incident in Osun State, as regrettable and as unfortunate as it is, only goes to spell how politics and public office lack the ethics and decorum that should go or guide leaders. Let us zoom out for a moment and imagine for a second that we replace this video with a clip of the wife of the US president and probably the governor of the US state of California, and imagine what will likely be the probable conduct. The first question will be, what constitutional law or what law establishes the office of the first lady? The governor was the chief host of that event. He is in his state. He has his pattern of communicating with his people. Do we agree or we may not agree? It's a different conversation. But two things stand out for me. What was the need for that event? It goes to show you that it was the 10-year coronation of the leader, and we are in this period where more than 100 of our children from Niger State are still with terrorists, and the NSA said they are being well taken care of. So in Nigeria, leaders can feast even when the people are being slain to death.
So you reckon that the coronation itself was insensitive?
I mean, you could have scaled it down. It were possible that leaders will look at the, tempo in the country and say, look, for some time, let us also go with the mood of the people. But then again, we went into festivities and feasting, and then the first lady will decide to do it. But for the first lady, I think that she's consistent with her actions. Remember the Senate hearing, committee hearing on the questioning of Senator Elisha Abo when she was in the National Assembly. She was telling the then senator that he should put off his mic, and also that they had the capacity to suspend. She will have to be prevailed upon by the senator seated next to her, Senator Sam Igu, and the other senator. So, I mean, there is a track record of telling people to turn off their mics for her own to come up. And then you can also remember the case of Senator Smart Adeyemi speaking about insecurity, and the wife of the president says that, are you a wolf in sheep clothing, trying to send a message that, they were in one party, and probably that should not be the communication. So it begs the question, what exactly do we stand for as a people? And then again, that the wife of the president is supposed to be a pastor with the Redeemed Christian Church of God. And there you had the governor singing a song that is Christian and praising God, and she had an issue with it. Maybe he would have sang "Our Mama Be That," then no get another one. Maybe that would have worked.
But do you think that she was also conscious of timing, and that was probably why she came across as a bit harsh?
Timing. I mean, she could have, an aide could have said that. What was the time she used with all of the protocol that they came and every of the other issues or, persons that were, spoken to or spoke at that event? It was the time of the governor allocated to him. As the chief host, he will connect with his people and pass his message. And when you see people show that level of, power or without restraint, it goes to tell you a deeper picture between the governor and the first lady. The governor was speaking, it was his time. And then the first lady saw that or felt that it was imperative for her to leave her seat and prevail on him.
But do you think there was also familiarity between them, and for her, she didn't think that she was stepping or crossing the boundaries because this was a person that she is quite familiar with? Okay,
if it was familiarity, maybe when they have a family meeting or a meeting amongst peers, then that can come to play. But when you have a function where there is media, where there are people and there is protocol, I think that it is more important the way leaders conduct themselves because they know that persons are watching, and it sets the tone for how persons take leadership in public office seriously. When a governor is speaking, or when any leader at all is speaking, everyone will accord them the respect. If you know that you had a way or manner, a template with which you wanted the event to play out, it could have been discussed before that, not at that point. So across board, I think it's just a tale of recklessness. It's just the level of lack of decorum and ethics that come with public office in Nigeria, that anybody can do anything. Anybody can. You remember the case of the hearing even at the Senate at some point, Honorable Minister, off your mic. So this thing is across board. The question is, for how long will Nigeria continue with this pattern of leadership until they know that this is an affliction to be liberated from?
Okay, thank you so much for that. Can we have Dominic in the house, please? Okay, Dominic, welcome.
Yeah, I'm here.
Welcome to Perspectives. Okay, let me ask you. You just heard
thank you.
What Peter Aka just said so adamantly. So I want to ask you, when a non-elected figure publicly intervenes with an elected governor, What does this tell us about power dynamics and the limits of influence in Nigeria's political system?
All right, thank you so very much. Let me start by saying that whatever I'm going to say here, I'm not trying to justify the action of the First Lady, in that very occasion. But my understanding of that particular program, the 10th year coronation, either adversary or whatever, and then in that program also is slotted an award or a chieftaincy title conferment on the First Lady. So the way I look at it, I see it as, partly her program. And like you rightly said, something would have informed that familiarity. She is familiar with the governor. I believe they are also family friends and stuff like that. That was why she could, intervene, perhaps to draw his attention to the fact that time is going, because you know that when personalities like this gather, there are a lot of programs that is scheduled for them to attend, for them to carry out and stuff like that. But then I believe that there was a breach of protocol there, which for me, it is not proper. She couldn't have, she shouldn't have, interrupted, the governor, or she would have scribbled a note to him, in a very polite way to draw his attention to the fact that time is going. But again, let's not, throw away the baby with the dirty water, because the office of the First Lady, you are very much aware, they have been very, very, instrumental and, engaging in terms of, certain empowerment, for example, certain empowerment and interventions for women way back from the time of, the wife of the late wife of the wife of the former military president Ibrahim Babangida, down to Abacha, down to Olusegun Obasanjo, to Yar'Adua, and to Jonathan, and most recently to President Muhammadu Buhari. There has been a lot of intervention that office has been able, to provide to Nigerian women by way of providing succor to them. The national hospital we have today is as a result of the initiative of either the wife of the First Lady, the wife of the Babangida or Abacha, that it came about. And we, subsequently we see a lot of intervention coming from, that office, even though it is not an elective office, it is not constitutional. But then I believe that we should not just throw, that away with the bathing water because of, the overriding influence that some of. Look, let me tell you. You see, I agree with Peter Oka that there is need for Nigerians to rise in order to begin to interrogate our leaders. The truth of the matter is that we have not come to a situation where democracy will be practiced in Nigeria. What we have today in Nigeria is a state-captured kind of democracy. When you go to the local government, see the attitude of our local government chairman. When you go to the senatorial or House of Representative constituency, look at their attitude. Come to the state governors, it's even unbearing. So what I am saying is that there is need for us Nigerians to begin to interrogate the leadership, their attitude, their influence over and above, institution and the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you.
So what I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to justify her action. I'm not trying to say she was right, but the truth of the matter is that there is this kind of familiarity that, she deployed into it, which couldn't have. She would have scribbled a note, to pass across to him to draw his attention if time was not, if he was consuming too much of the time. Okay,
let me get back to Peter on this. Peter, the First Lady said critics in her response to the incident. Rather than an apology, this was her response. She said critics scrutinize every step, amplify minor steps, and turn them into needless controversy. Yeah. Do you understand? So how does this response reflect concerning the APC party and its approach in dealing with opposition parties? What's your take on that?
A total disconnect from the reality on ground of the people. And you know, it is unfortunate that we are in a country where we can attribute national development or things that should be taken care of by government that are elected to being pet projects of offices that are not elected. The wife of the president is not a legally recognized office, but the current wife of the president, you know, they have been moving around the country with a, you know, so-called Renewed Hope project. That was what went to Delta. All of these events and issues have an opaque kind of, you know, budgetary system. Nobody knows what is exactly financing this. Remember that the wife of the president had at some point visited Obafemi Awolowo University and donated from herself 1 billion to that institution. The wife of the president. Imagine the wife of the US president donating $1 billion to any school. From what business, from what profit? So when we see things like this, it is important that we call to question. And then you look at the budget, where the budget is saying that let us budget 1.5 billion for purchase of SUVs for the office of the First Lady. Do not forget that the First Lady and the husband are former governors and First Lady of a state, living on a Lagos state pension that includes overseas medical treatment for unspecified number of family members. So Nigeria is the gift that continues giving. So the leaders do not make sacrifices, but they compound the situation or make an already bad situation even more complex. If the First Lady truly shows empathy, let us remember the time under the former President Jonathan when Chibok girls were abducted. A lot of Nigerians berated the former First Lady Patience Jonathan, but she cried out. She said, now the First Lady is begging you to find your children. Will you keep quiet? It showed empathy. Since children have been taken from Kebbi, people were killed in Kwara, the children were taken from Niger. What statement or what event has the First Lady held through the same Renewed Hope initiative to work and cooperate with the office of the husband to help to rescue the children? So is everything in Nigeria about politics? Is it always about optics, how it reflects to our being re-elected or how it keeps or hold us to power? I think that as a people, Nigeria must know that it is important to hold public office holders to the highest ethical standard. And when Nigerians do so, they should not pass a subtle message undermining the grievances of Nigerians at their conducts.
Okay. It's interesting that you said that, but let's even go back to the incident itself. Governor Adeleke was quite relatively calm. So do you think his calmness was fear of provoking the opposition party or stepping on the toes stepping on the toes of the First Lady and also by extension APC? Why do you think his composure was the way it was?
I mean, there could be many factors that played into how the governor decided to handle it. And this is not to say we are completely giving a pass to however the governor decides to interact with his people. One of the problems with our country is that even though we constitutionally are supposed to be a secular state, there is a mix of religion and politics, so we do not know how to differentiate the two. So even in a political or an official event, we want to sing praises to God, and it depends on everybody's, belief and religion and how the governor, relates with and interacts with his people. But then again, it begs the question, could there also be political undertone in the decision of how they decided to, relate with themselves, or how the First Lady? Remember that the governor of Osun State recently defected to the Accord party. There had been pressures. He was in the PDP. The PDP have decided, is in splinter right now, partly because somebody who is serving in the cabinet of the current president as a minister is also in the PDP. So there are factions there, and it has made it almost not a viable vehicle for the governor to, pursue his ambition, and has ported to another party. And therefore, it is possible that whatever that could be the political undertones to it. So I think that there will be a lot of calculations going on in the mind of the governor, but by and large, it was important that one person should show decorum. If everybody begins to, I would imagine him responding to say, I would not turn off the mic, or it would have become an exchange between the wife of the president and the governor.
So one person had to rise above.
One person had to rise above and, become the bigger person. And if the governor is, so be it. The important thing is that Nigerians must not just pay attention to events like this. We must draw it to the general conduct of public office holders whose lives are being run with taxpayer money. There is an expectation that you must live up to, and that must be drawn to the quality of life and governance that they give to the people.
Okay, good. It's good that you said that. Can we have Napoleon? I hear Napoleon is in the house now. Can we have him, please? Okay, Napoleon, welcome to...
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Welcome to Perspective. You missed a bit of the conversation, but you completely catch up. Now, let me ask you, considering this incident that happened between the First Lady and Governor Adeleke. Some argue that political affiliation, region, or even religious undertones may have influenced the First Lady's response. Would her reaction have been different if they were from the same party? Also, could Governor Adeleke's defection to the Accord Party instead of joining APC have shaped the tone of her response?
Absolutely not what your interpretation is. It is about the protocol. The woman in question is not just Remi Tinubu. She represented and still represents the first family. So wherever she goes on official duties, it is expected that the highest protocol and decorum be accorded to her as a member of the first family. If you watch the clip very well, with an unbiased mindset, you will discover that the governor, with due respect, the governor of Osun State, abused the protocol. That function was not a special number function wherein an individual would be expected to sing praises. But the governor of Osun State, being who he is, he abused that protocol. He threw caution to the world. The first family, you would know, is a very busy person. I am sure there were other series of engagements booked in for that day. Being a governor, you should be familiar with the timing and the scheduling. When it is time to dance, you dance. And when it is time for a serious business, you do a serious business and leave the stage. We should not read all manner of meanings into what transpired.
Yeah, but some would argue.
There should be a time for dancing and a time for serious business. Yeah, that was what the First Lady was trying to pass across to the governor. This time is not a time for singing. It's not a time for trivialities.
Listen, Mr.
It's a time for us to dwell on why we are here. Please conclude the business and leave the stage.
Yeah, but Mr. Napoleon, some would argue.
That is the message.
Some would argue that her approach was wrong. Even if what she meant or what she was trying to achieve or the goal she was trying to achieve was right, her approach was wrong. That is what caused this controversy in the first place. Her approach was wrong, and which is why one cannot but ask the question and ask you, which you haven't quite answered. If he was a member of her party, would she have been that aggressive? If Dr. Adeleke was a member of her party, would she have been that aggressive with him? It's the aggression in her approach.
The actions that happen has nothing to do with the political affiliation. Whether Adeleke is a member of a APP, APC, or Accord, or whatever it is, the central message should not be lost on us.
Okay, well,
as a governor, you listen to the message, and the message only must not come from the lips alone. Before the First Lady stood up from her seat, her body language suggested that her time was unduly being wasted. You could see the facial expression. If the governor was truly a man of protocol, he should be able to read the body language of the First Lady, her facial expression, to say, oh, come on, governor, you are deviating.
Well,
you are wasting a lot of time.
This is a goal.
You are trivializing the essence of the function.
Where was she in a hurry to? What have they achieved in the past 2 years plus?
It was when the governor refused to pick the message.
But somebody
that she
Peter just
intervene personally.
Peter just asked you a question. So let Peter just ask you a question, and if you can quickly answer that before we run off.
Because I think it's unfortunate that we are talking about the First Lady representing the First family and all of the issues that are going on. She was in a state for an event. If you knew that you had other functions, and then again they have been busy for 2 years going to 3 years, and the only thing that Nigeria has benefited from this administration is increase in insecurity, battered economy, taxation left, right, and center. Delta and all of the misgovernance and bad governance. So at a point where you are invited to event to take your, whatever chieftaincy title, because for Nigerian leaders, everything has to be politics. Was it necessary that even if a message was to be sent to the governor, being the chief executive of the state, there should be a certain level of decorum that the wife of the president should understand that should be accorded to the office of the governor? Imagine a first lady of a different country doing that to the husband if he travels to a different country and is giving a statement, the wife of another president. Will the first lady who did that to Governor Adeleke, if they were in the same party as you asked, or if it were probably, let's say, a northern governor, would this same action or the same approach be also implemented for that kind of person? Let us not justify what is injustifiable. The conduct was wrong. They can do better, but it goes beyond the first lady. It goes to all leaders.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to a break right now, then we'll get on to our second topic. Welcome back to Perspectives on Arise News. So for our second segment, we're going to discuss the defection of the governor of Rivers State. Governor of Rivers State, Sim Fubara, this week defected to All Progressive Congress after many months of internal party squabbles within the People's Democratic Party. After announcing his defection to adoring supporters, Governor Fubara then launched into a specially composed song in praise of his newfound mentor and President of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu.
If Fubara they tell you something, now this is the second answer. If you they support Tinubu, no follow corner. If they hear what they talk, we they support Tinubu, we know they follow corner. That is the second answer. I'm going to take that one.
Everybody sing now. Simfubara, tell me something. Simfubara, tell me something. If you support you, Simfubara, tell me something.
Thank you.
Peter, question one.
You saw that video, which I could not but smile at it. So when politics is driven by survival rather than mandate, how does governing quality suffer? And what is the collateral damage done in this elite power plays?
The collateral damage is what we are seeing in Nigeria today. The rise of insecurity, a poor economy. Today, the 2025 budget is not implemented. 2026 budget has not been submitted. Nigeria is running almost on autopilot. These unfortunate incidents will continue for as long as we permit it. The question we are going to ask, because my thoughts and prayers are with the whole of Rivers people and also Nigerians by extension, what exactly is the grouse between the incumbent Rivers State governor and the former governor? We have not still come to what led us to where we are today. And today, the governor has moved to the APC. So as it is right now, it is almost an entire complete state capture. If this government had invested half of the time they use in politicking in governance, they would have probably done well. But this government is the only government that came in 2023, and by 2023, there were billboards of re-election for 2027, meaning politics started immediately they got into office. Now, the question will be, why is everybody defecting to the ruling party? That should be the question. Senator Henry Seraki Dixon rightly said it. All they need is for federal fraud. Let INEC help you to write results. Let the judiciary, you're able to buy them. Then you know that you control law enforcement and all of that. Because if you are with the people and the people are with you, you do not need governors to be with you before you can win an election. But unfortunately, that is the Nigerian situation. It is a survival. And that is why I continue to say that Nigerians must make 2027 the people's opposition, because the only confidence of the current ruling party is in a compromised INEC and a compromised judiciary. If free and fair elections are held today, before 1 o'clock on election day, the defeat of the current government will be announced.
And it won't matter what party you're in.
It does not matter. If the current government is serious and knows that they are truly popular, let President Tinubu come out and commit to free, fair, credible, and peaceful elections with electoral reforms to know that the vote of the people will count, because there is an antecedent. But today, what do we have rather? An INEC chairman that conducted an election that was seemingly spoken to have, a group of European observers that what they came to do was a crime watch and not an election monitoring. After receiving more than 313 billion, Mahmoud Yakubu said there was a glitch. Guess what? He is being nominated to become an ambassador a few weeks after retirement, after spending 10 years in office. So all of what you are seeing, the shenanigans you are seeing, it is simple. If the people are not with you, let us buy the power brokers and the gatekeepers in the state. So what happens? It is able to play the way Rivers State went to in 2023. What exactly happened with the Rivers State result? Because do not forget, 2015, Jonathan versus Buhari, Jonathan won Rivers with 1.4 million votes. 2019, Atiku versus Buhari, Atiku won with more than 420,000 votes. 2023, Obi, Atiku, Kwankwaso and Tinubu, the winner of that election won with less than 200,000 votes. What happened in Rivers State? Did the electorate shrink or did they increase in 8 years? So it is the hatchet jobs that politicians are ready to carry out. That is why everybody is fleeing and potting, so that if you cannot control the people, then ensure that we take every step to control that so-called criminal structure to subvert the will of the people. So for Rivers State, unfortunately, the real victims is not Wike, not Fubara, not the sole administrator that has done his own and has gone. It is the Rivers State people. Until we come to a consensus where power comes directly from the people, where the people chose their leaders, we will continue to see these shenanigans.
Okay. Let's get to, thank you so much for that. Let's get to Dominic in the house, please. Okay, so...
Yeah, thank you very much. Ruth, please give me just a minute. Let me conclude my thought on the other segment. I want to use this opportunity to commend, Governor Adeleke for handling the matter the way he really handled it. If he had handled it to the negative, honestly, it would have snowballed into something.
Okay, thank you for that.
I also agree with the First Lady that people are waiting to see you make mistakes and then, make money with it. Peter is aware. He's a social media follower. Yeah. When you make mistakes, as me and you, we are having this interview now, the moment you make a statement that didn't go down well with Nigerians, social media influencers, bloggers will pick it and begin to trend with it on YouTube, on Instagram and all of that, and that is generating the money.
Thank you, Dominic.
Now, coming back to the issue
I haven't even asked you the question yet. I haven't asked you your question yet, so calm down.
Okay, so, go ahead, please.
Governor Fubara's defection is being framed as if you can't beat them, join them, just like Peter reiterated. So what does this reveal about the current nature of political survival in Nigeria?
Well, for Governor Fubara, I think his defection is justifiable. If you are familiar with our electoral act, if you are familiar with our party's constitutions, I mean, when I say party constitution, whether PDP, APC, APGA, SDP, ADC, whatever party you belong to, and you are familiar with the electoral act, you understand that you actually need a platform to be able to run your election. You see, the way PDP is today, I told people anybody on the platform of PDP will lose his ticket because he's not going to have, a substantive nomination, because it is the chairman of that party that will nominate, candidate. So today, who is the chairman of PDP that can nominate any candidate for 2023? We have different factions now. Saminu Turaki is claiming to be the chairman on one hand. The Wike faction is also on the other hand, trying to, scuttle every, the convention that has taken place in Ibadan and stuff like that. So for me, those defecting from from PDP to APC across the state, they are doing that for a justifiable reason. But looking at it beyond that, I see it from, differently from the way Nigerians sees it. I see it from at least 2 or 3 different perspectives. Number one is regional alliance. I told people that 2027 is going to whip up the politics of regional politics, regional alliance, because the moment President and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was sworn in, there were this kind of, and the moment El-Rufai was not nominated as a minister minister, there was this kind of narrative that was being sold out in the north against the president. And if you are in the shoe of Mr. President, you will have no choice but to begin to mobilize your region to back you up. So I see from that regional perspective, regional alliance, that most of the governors today in the south, almost all the southern states are in the kitty of APC. That is to talk about the regional alliance. Another perspective is perhaps they are seeing, the good things that Mr. President is doing, and they said, no, we have no choice but to support it. My fear about the Muslim ticket, when I critique it in 2023, is what is playing out today. Just few days ago, I saw an article written by one Mohammed Bello Doka, on the handle of Malam Nasiru El-Rufai, which is divisive, which is ridiculous and absurd. What is that article talking about? It's talking about, is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu trying to weaken the Muslim North, or is a coincidence? Now, this kind of article are very, very divisive. It has pinched the Christians and the Muslims against each other, because in 2023, I told them, let's not play into the galaxy where we begin to see the Muslim North or the Muslim Christian South as we are more in voting population than, either the Muslim North or Muslim South. And that is what is playing out today. Today, we are seeing certain narratives that is being whipped up. You will agree with me that if you go to the northern region today, a lot of persons, and that is the concern. Mr. President is very concerned about it, because people feel that the North are not benefiting. Just in that article I read, and the writer was saying that one project in Lagos surpassed the 19 states, what is this called? Security vote, one project in Lagos. These are some of the narrative that is being chunked out there, and people are believing them. People are trying to key and align with such kind of thing. Okay, so for me, I think for some of the governors, are defecting to APC, they have a justifiable reason to do that, because bet me, and I can bet with any amount with this, in 2027, PDP will not have a platform, to anybody in PDP will not be able to have a platform to run. Whether governor, rep, senate, presidential, they will not be able to have a platform to run on, except this, crisis within the party is resolved. So there is every justifiable reason for them to come out and defect, so that they can secure their mandate, they can secure their ticket. It may not be because they are being cajoled. It is because of the fear of what I'm saying, that in 2027 they may not have a ticket to do that.
Thank you, Dominic, for that. But let me get to Napoleon in the house, please. Now, Napoleon, I want to ask, to what extent, you just heard what Dr. Dominic said, but really, to what extent are these defections truly voluntary political choices? Doesn't this suggest that Nigeria is fast becoming a de facto one-party state?
I totally disagree with that sentiment of the one-party.
Yeah, but we have. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
So I asked, I said, is Nigeria fast becoming a de facto one-party state? Are these defections truly voluntarily or purely for self-interest? Because as it is now, we have 26 states that are APC. So how can you explain that Nigeria is not fast becoming a one-party state without statistics? With those statistics?
The defection is absolutely voluntary. Under our law, we still have freedom of association. Politicians or other citizens are free to associate and assemble themselves under any platform. And then, just like what is happening to the PDP currently, which is self-inflicting, it's only a mad person that will wait and see danger coming his or her way and not take action. If those in PDP that are still aspiring to contest for elected positions and they are not taking any action today, then you can imagine the kind of persons they are. Fubara is no more of PDP than Atiku. Where is Atiku today? The first decision a man can take is self-preservation. You must be preserved, you must be alive, you must be safe first before you can situate and protect the general rights and the interests of the masses. Legally speaking, PDP may not be in a position to sponsor candidates for any elected position in 2027. Do you want the current politicians under the fold of the tattered PDP to be stranded? The answer is no. Fubara is highly enlightened. Nobody can cajole him. The president cannot cajole him. He has enough resources to stand on his feet. Under our law, we don't have a provision for independent candidacy. No matter how good you are as a leader, you must belong to a political party. He has done his calculation perfectly and conclude that, oh, my people, the people of Rivers State, for me to continue to be in a place to protect your interest and to render these laudable services for you, I must choose a viable platform.
So party principles don't come into play anymore?
That is what he has done.
Party principles don't come into play anymore?
And we seem to have forgotten what...
I said, so party principles that you believed in don't come into play anymore?
In 1999, how many were the governors under opposition? PDP had 27. In 2023, how many governors were under the platform of PDP? There were almost non-existent opposition governors. The activists and the politicians and the opposition who are crying now didn't cry then. President Tinubu is not cajoling anybody, is not capturing the state. People naturally go to where good things are happening.
Oh, yeah, interesting.
APC represent that, which is good.
Yes.
Peter just said interesting.
And you can see how the low and the mighty are gravitating the promised land of the APC.
Okay,
please,
thank you.
Let us not take Nigerians
the decision is voluntary and is legal. It should be encouraged.
Let us not take Nigerians to be fools who
if Nigerian politicians can belong to one political party,
okay,
and give us what we desire, so be it.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr.
If Nigeria can be transformed to the like of United States of America, provided we belong to one political party, if that is the only solution.
Okay, Peter, you have something to say.
So be it.
Peter has something to say. What were you saying, Peter?
No, he's talking about good things are happening in the APC, and that is why people are defecting. So we can just take a very good example of the things happening like in Kebbi and Katsina, where school children were abducted, and then the governor of the state is telling the president that few hours to when the children were abducted, somebody gave orders to withdraw security from that place, and they want to know who gave the orders. Until date, the president and commander-in-chief is not able to know who ordered troops out of the government secondary school in Kebbi State, or in places like Katsina, where security and insecurity officials are holding peace deals, and the terms of those meetings are being put together by the bandits. In fact, in Katsina, according to the report, one of the bandit leader, Jankari, instructed that the peace deal, the police officers who are coming should not come in uniform, should come in mufti. But guess what? The bandit leader came in the uniform of a slain police officer, ACP Dayi Aminu, to that so-called peace deal. That is where they are having stakeholder meetings. So those are the good things that are happening under the APC government. But let us not be fooled. The same issue that is happening, because everybody continues to say PDP, PDP. What exactly is going on in the PDP? What is the role of the serving minister for FCT in the PDP? What are the issues between the FCT minister and the Rivers State governor? So the former governor and the incumbent governor had issues, and instead of prevailing upon your subject, President Tinubu decided to illegitimately suspend an elected governor, declaring a state of emergencies for so-called reasons of insecurity. But somehow, more than 300 children were kidnapped from Niger State, and it has not been able to be a reason for why there should be a state of emergency. For in Katsina State, continuous banditry attacks and killings. And even I think my colleague is from Benue State, where more than 200 persons were slaughtered in Yelwata. The president visited it and could not visit the host community or the ground zero of the incident because the roads to that place were not good. This is the unfortunate leadership and the shameful kind of conduct that we glorify as leadership, and that is why everybody is moving to the center. What exactly is at the center? A center of terrorism, of banditry, of a failed economy, of active politics, even when people are being killed. That is why the president can order troops to so-called defend democracy and constitutional authority in Benin Republic when terrorists are running rogue in his own country without the approval of the National Assembly. So as it is today, it is all politics. We understand the game of the APC to ensure, and that is why even the former chairman Oshomole said, when you come to our party, I mean, your sins are forgiven. What are the legal cases or graft cases of all governors or politicians who were in the opposition? What happened to them when they came to the ruling party? If we say this is not without any pressure.
Let me quickly throw a question at you now you're discussing. With high-profile defections reshaping the party landscapes, what effect could this have on the 2027 elections? And how might it influence voters' choices and democratic accountability?
It is simple. What the APC or the ruling party is trying to do is to create an imaginary victory before the elections happen. What will rig or what will make the 2027 elections be rigged was not because anybody was too powerful or they were too popular. It was because Nigerians had the cynicism of believing that the elections will never be free and fair. So a lot of Nigerians have given up on 2027 even before it will come. And then when you have political strongmen like governors of the state who have overwhelming influence on institutions, on the architecture of the electoral process and also security agencies, it becomes even more dire for the people. But all hope is not lost, because when it comes to elections, when multitude of people come out to vote and insist that their votes must count, it is almost impossible to rig through a determined people. The 2023 election results are clear for everybody to see. President Tinubu lost his home state of Lagos, lost Kano, the highest voting bloc. The shenanigans that happened in Rivers State, lost Abuja, but somehow won the presidency. So the template has already been set and is only to be consolidated on.
Okay, let me get back to Dr. Dominic in the house, then we'll close with Napoleon. So, Dr. Dominic, let me ask you, for governors still in their first term and remaining in PDP, how strong is the pressure to defect, and what are the political risks if they resist? I'm talking about the remaining governors, the remaining PDP governors.
Like I told you, the political risks if they resist, or I mean, what do you mean by if they resist? Nobody is insisting that they must defect, but the situation
there might be some pressure. They might feel the pressure.
Already pushing them.
They might feel the pressure.
No, I don't. Hold on. I don't think there is any pressure from any quarter. But what I'm telling you is the true reality. That look, the way PDP is today, as it is, it has been battered and factionalized. They cannot be able to field any candidate in 2027 because there will not be any chairman to, sign their nomination form. If Simon Iturafiki sign a form, the Wike faction will also sign a form. And which one will INEC honor? It will result to court cases. So for them not to lose their mandate, they are defecting to the PDP now, to the APC.
It boils down to my question about pressure.
In January, Caleb of Taraba State will be defecting. Mufang of Plateau is on the way to APC. What will you see now? Again, this brings to question the leadership capability or credibility of opposition political leaders. I told you, I am a strong believer of viral oppositions. In 1999, I joined the AD, Action Alliance, AD. In 2003, I joined the APP. We navigated to CPC, and today we are in the APC. Why? Because I believe in the role of the opposition to advance governance in this country. Today, we are beginning to have what you call one-party system or one-party state, and you want to blame the president. No, I'm blaming the opposition leaders, the likes of Atiku Abubakar, the likes of Peter Obi, and the rest of them. Those are the kind of people, you know, those are the opposition leaders I am blaming, because they have failed in their responsibility to put the opposition party together. You know, they have failed in their responsibility to provide leadership for opposition party. Go to any country of the world where there is viral opposition, you cannot make but mention the opposition political leaders in those countries that are making things happen for the opposition political parties. And the president rightly said, and I agree with him, in
Dr. Dominic.
In June, when he made a statement in the National Assembly,
please, can I
that you cannot, you know, shut the door against people that are coming on into the party, because it will amount to, you know, political malpractice. So you don't blame the president because, you know, people are jumping ship from the sinking ship to the APC ship, which is sailing to,
thank you so much,
perhaps El Dorado.
Please, we are pressed for time. I want to ask Mr. Napoleon one last question. Now, with this trend that is going on now, how can we guarantee the protection of the democratic protection for citizens when come 2027? How can we guarantee that their votes will count? Very briefly, please.
2027 is as safe as 2023. Just like the activists in the studio said, that our President Ahmed Bola Tinubu lost his home state, Lagos. That shows the level of his fairness. If he had wanted to rig the election, he would have started from Lagos. Charity begins from home. So also evil should also begin from home. If Tinubu had wanted to rig 2023 election, the rigging would have started from Lagos, his home state. So but because he wanted to be fair and good,
would you comfortably,
he lost in Lagos and he acknowledged the loss.
Okay, would you comfortably say that? The
second point I also want us to make, please, we are putting too much emphasis on the governors.
Okay.
The governors are not more powerful than the people. They are not.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
The governor is just one person.
Okay.
If the people want free and fair election, they will get it, irrespective of what a single man calls.
So you're saying 2023 was
experience the freest of the election.
Can I close with you saying
election devoid of malpractice, election devoid of rigging, election devoid of crisis and violence.
2027 will show that the power of the people is.
There will be innovations in the area of technology.
Yes. But wait,
there
Napoleon.
Will be innovation in the area of sensitization.
Can I just ask one question? You are saying now, I'm living here now with you saying that 2023 elections, according to you, was a free and fair election. Is that what you're saying? Yes or no? Just a simple yes or no. Are you saying 2023 was a free and fair election? Yes or no? Napoleon, the question is to you. Okay, he can't hear me. We need to go. We need to go now. Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you so much, Peter Aka. Thank you so much, Dominic Alancha. And thank you so much, Napoleon Otuche, for a very riveting conversation this morning. Now, for Nigeria, the lesson is simple but urgent. Institutions must be stronger than individuals. Principles must matter beyond convenience. And public office, elected or otherwise, must be exercised with discipline, respect, and accountability. Ultimately, these moments remind us that power is not just about authority, but about how it is used and how it is perceived. And as I keep saying, life is a learning curve. That's all we have time for today. You've been watching Perspectives here on Arise News with me, Ruth Osime. I pray for a good time for all of you till we see this time next week. Until then, goodbye.